As an experienced teacher, when I create engaging learning experiences for my self-paced learners, I find the flexibility of open educational resources to be extremely valuable. I use them as primary sources of instruction and also as supplemental materials for when my learners need extra help. The self-paced instructional model allows my learners to complete course materials on their own time, at their own pace, and without any direct instruction from me. They receive feedback and grades as they complete their work through my course management system, Moodle. Here's one example of how I use a lesson plan with embedded OER in a self-paced instructional model. As we go through this video, I'll show you my course with different Moodle resources and activities I used for a self-paced learning activity. The sample lesson plan I'm using aligns with the WIPIA model and includes open educational resources that I want my learners to explore to help them understand the scientific inquiry process. You will learn how I constructed my course using different Moodle elements. I'll explain why I selected each resource and activity. I'll also demonstrate how I use the Moodle Gradebook to track my learners' progress. I've included my sample Moodle activities and resources under this video presentation so you can explore them on your own. Often with adult learners, they are constrained by responsibilities to family or work, or attending a traditional classroom is not always possible. Providing learners meaningful online instructional materials that are available at any time can give them the skills they need to accomplish their goals. By using a learning management system like Moodle, along with open educational resources and other content, learners have the flexibility to access my materials at any time or from any place. Using Moodle and OER is like having a set of helping hands always available for my learners. In the following slides, I'll explain how I use Moodle to offer OER-rich content to learners in a self-paced delivery model. This is my sample WIPIA lesson plan, in which I'm using two different open educational resources. One is a source of information from the TED EDU video series. The second is a simulation for an extension activity. I'm using both of these resources to help my self-paced learners think about the value of inquiry and scientific exploration. My intent was to craft the course in a way that would give my learners the ability to work through all the content with minimal or no interaction with me. The examples that follow are one way in which you might organize your course materials for self-paced learners. As I designed this course, I made it clear to learners through my directions and context that they are able to work at their own pace and repeat and review materials as often as needed until they are comfortable enough to move on. Now we're on my course homepage, where I've created materials and activities that align with my lesson plan. It is important to give learners a clear pathway of what is expected of them and how to proceed in the self-paced course. I provide that information through the first resource page, Being Successful in This Course. I set up the warm-up as a Moodle lesson activity. I have to keep in mind that learners need to access information, demonstrate understanding, and receive some type of feedback and pacing. This support is accomplished by the automation that I can build into the content using Moodle lesson activity settings. The Moodle lesson is effective because it provides content that is broken up into short, learner-controlled segments, providing for a greater degree of interaction. The Moodle lesson allows me to embed my OER video on one page and additional text or questions on other pages. Learners can move forward and backwards through the content or jump to different pages using the lesson menu. As part of all self-paced activities, it is important that elements within the course clearly communicate my expectations and provide clear instructions to the learner. If things are unclear, it can stall a learner's progress, requiring them to wait for additional information from me. Developing content for this type of delivery requires careful attention to detail, clear communication, and an understanding of how a learner will be interacting with the material. Moodle does a great job of tracking learner progress and providing feedback for this activity. I chose the lesson settings that show the progress bar to learners. They appreciate it, and it is feedback that even I can't provide as quickly in a regular classroom. Utilizing Moodle's progress bar in a self-paced context gives learners more meaningful interaction with the course materials and also helps them feel supported in their work. Back on my course homepage, I've also used the Moodle page resource for the introduction portion of the lesson plan. A Moodle page is a resource that provides content such as text, images, audio, or video. One of the things I like about using the page is that learners quickly realize that these types of resources identify portions of a course in which they will be consumers of information. There's no need for them to do an online assignment or submit other work. so the Moodle page works well for this type of content. For the presentation portion of the lesson plan, I use the lesson module again to incorporate some of my OER content. When I want my learners to review and learn new material, I need some indication that they have actually done so. The lesson activity not only provides feedback and progress to the learner, it also allows me as the teacher to know when a learner completed the activity and how well he or she answered the questions related to the content. For this presentation, I embedded my TED EDU OER video clip within a Moodle lesson page. Learners like that they can watch the video as often as needed. As a teacher, I can assess learners' understanding by asking questions that demonstrate their knowledge of the materials. I use specific questions to show that learners have reviewed and understood the content. By providing quality feedback to learners, they feel confident they are learning the material and making progress. The Moodle lesson can be set up to automatically grade questions and provide customized feedback on learner answers. I avoid questions like short answer and essay because those question types require the teacher to grade each one individually. The lesson is best suited for multiple choice, true, false, and matching kinds of questions. Learners appreciate the immediate feedback and the ability to repeat the lesson as often as necessary. This flexibility allows self-paced learners to control the pace of their learning. As a teacher, I can review the lesson reports to determine if my learners accessed the information and how well they scored. Lesson reports are available through the administration block, usually found on the left side of your course. Detailed lesson statistics provide additional information on learner performance. When I review the detailed statistics of my Moodle lesson, I can determine what percentage of learners chose which answers. If I notice that many learners are incorrectly answering a particular question, then the problem may be in the phrasing of the question. If so, I can edit the wording of the question to be more clear. Now let's move on to the other elements of the WIPIA lesson plan. The practice stage in the lesson plan is also set up as a Moodle lesson. The settings are flexible enough that they allow me to create learning pathways for users that do not have to impact a grade. These pathways can be a linear progression, or they can be branched based on learner responses. This is an opportunity for learners to practice with concepts and information in the course and receive feedback without any type of penalty for incorrect responses. Since this lesson is not graded, the learners can try as many times as they would like until they're comfortable with the concepts. Their mastery of the topic will be assessed later. The evaluation and application activities from the lesson plan are created as Moodle assignments. Again, the flexibility of Moodle's assignment settings allow many options. One example for self-paced learners is to allow them to save their work and modify it without submitting it for grading. However, I can set up the assignment so that when a learner does submit work for grading, I receive an email notification. Another benefit of the assignment module is that the learners and the facilitators can leave comments and interact with each other privately regarding the assignment, without opening up the submission to everyone in a course. As the teacher, I find all of these assignment options under the administration block in my course. Because the self-paced learner has the opportunity to modify assignment submissions at any time before they submit it for grading, there's no need to save work in other places or on other devices. Everything the learner needs to complete the activity is part of the course. This allows learners to work on and add to an assignment as they have time and submit it for grading when they are ready. One thing learners always want to know is, am I done? By viewing the check marks in the Your Progress column, students will know what has been completed and what they have left. Moodle's course settings allow me to turn on completion tracking so learners know what they have completed in the course. Depending on these settings, some items are marked complete when learners view them, or I can require learners to submit an assignment or achieve a minimum score before that activity is automatically marked as complete. I can also use dependencies where I can release an activity for learner completion once a set of conditions are met. These conditions can be a grade or based on activities completed. Automating progress through course materials allows learners to always know where they're at within a course, and it allows me to pace my students through materials in the sequence I design. Another way to review learner progress is through the Gradebook. Not only do learners want to know their progress, they also want to keep track of their grades. By clicking on Grades in the administration block, the Moodle Gradebook allows learners to see all their work and any comments and feedback I've given them, as well as their overall score for the course materials. With self-paced learners, it's important to review their progress and provide encouragement and support if needed. As a teacher, you can find an overall view of your learners' progress through the Gradebook. The link to the gradebook can be found in the course administration block, often located on the left side of your course. Clicking on that link will provide you with the ability to view scores, categorize your gradebook items, and track student progress. In the gradebook, you can access an overview of all learner scores through the Grader Report, or you can drill down to find the scores recorded for just one student with the User Report. I often want to see how well a student is doing individually, and the User Report allows me to see all their scores, including the comments and feedback posted within their assignments. This video was meant to provide you, the teacher, with ideas and guidance on how your OER-rich lesson plan may look using Moodle in a self-paced instructional model. Examples included how I used the Moodle lesson to show an open educational resources presentation and a Moodle assignment to give my learners an opportunity to evaluate their learning. We reviewed how I used Moodle's resources and activities to teach my lesson using OER. We also looked at how I track my learners' progress through using the gradebook. Keep in mind, Moodle is flexible and allows you many options on how you may wish to present your learning materials. Be sure to look at the samples provided within the course listed after this video. I wish you the best of luck in creating your OER learning opportunities using Moodle.